The words we speak convey a wide array or range of thought, opinion, emotion, and observation we all deal with on a day-to-day basis. And sometimes these words are written as a way to purge to paper poetic thoughts and descriptions for humanity to speak on for generations to come. So this morning, by way of mouth, we bring you the poets who give these writings breath and flight. Welcome to Joe's Place. Welcome to this edition of Spoken Word at Joe's Place. I'm Joe Gordon. On this edition of Spoken Word at Joe's Place, I've got Khadijah Ali-Coleman. How you doing?
I'm doing awesome. How are you doing?
I'm good. It's always good to have a new poet on the show. And I'm always interested in how did you get here? How did you hear about Spoken Word at Joe's Place?
Well, in addition to being a listener of the show, I am part of an incredible artist community here in Washington, D.C. And so the word on the street was this is the place to be. So here I am.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, this is a safe space. It's an organic space for poets. And so I'm very happy to be here today. And thank you for having me.
Well, I'm glad you listened, and I'm glad you finally got here. Would you care to tell me how many years it took you to get here? Because we've been on for quite some time.
Well, let me tell you that I am reestablishing my poetic roots, which really started here in Washington, D.C. I'm sure you talked to just poets who talked about their early days at Mangoes and Coffee House, and I was one of them. Graduate school, and
Graduate school where?
I worked at Morgan State University. I graduated from Towson University for graduate school. I got my undergrad at UMBC. You never hear UMBC shout out like that, but
if we went around and talked to Harold Fisher, then maybe you know.
Oh really? I didn't know that.
He's a bear.
I didn't know that. The retriever. Oh, you mean Bear from Morgan? Okay. Well, I'm a playwright. I'm a writer first and foremost. And for the past 5 years, I've been producing plays. I've been writing them, producing them, and directing them. And my plays have incorporated spoken word. And when I say I'm reestablishing or getting back in touch with my poetic roots, I have been doing, I'm actually working on a project, a spoken word project, that weaves together spoken word movement as well as theater. So, yeah.
So about time I ran into somebody that had enough money to do all of it.
I wish.
There's some ladies and some guys. I've listened to their poetry and say, have you ever thought about doing a one man play or one woman play? And they say, yeah, I thought about it, but it takes money. So.
And that's the thing is that I appreciate you saying it, that it appears that I do have money, or the fact that I've actualized it, but it's not easy. But how many things that we really want to do are easy?
But what I'm saying is, since you've been writing plays and producing plays and putting them on, you know how to go about the whole deal of getting the money and getting the sponsors to get that done. These folks might not really have that information.
I got you. And that is a very polarizing topic when you talk about the business side of art. And I founded an online digital community called Liberated Muse in 2008, and it was when I was still at Morgan, and I knew I was coming back to DC, and I wanted to really have a community to come back to since I had been in Baltimore for a while. And I just wanted it to be an opportunity for people to come online and network. And it grew into us producing, and I say us, I wound up working with my college buddy, Mace Hill Thomas, to produce the Capital Hip Hop Soul Fest. And we did that for 3 years. And what the good thing of it was that it really was an opportunity to highlight the talent that's here in Washington, D.C. But what it did for me personally was really take me off course in terms of my own artistic goals. And when I came back to the DC area, I became more known as a producer of events, a director, more of that behind the scenes person. And so a lot of my skill building happened during that period of coming back, and it was very organic. I guess I didn't realize that I was building skill and actually becoming a producing artist. So when I talk about my plays and I self-produced them, it came from that experience of producing festivals, producing music concerts, and things like that for other people. And I would recommend to any artist that really wants to put their own work on is to get in the habit of falling back. For me, it was something that I was kind of thrown into. It wasn't really a choice. But looking back, I realized that it was very beneficial in me becoming a self-producing artist, and I'm very grateful for it.
Well, what I want to ask you is, do you have a theater background?
And it's interesting. My master of arts is in mass communication, and I took electives in musical theater. I'm a singer. Yeah, I'm a singer as well. And those are things that we all singers, right? We perform, do karaoke, open mics, whatever. But I didn't major in it. But professionally, when I left graduate school, I worked in the community as a nonprofit professional. But then I began teaching, and most recently teaching communication studies and theater at Northern Virginia Community College and Prince George's County Community College. Right now, I'm a faculty advisor and focusing more on my own nonprofit building and my own creative work. So it's been a journey.
So let me ask you this. You said you homeschooled the little one.
Yes.
When you had time to do that?
Well, it's people ask me that all the time, but when she's with me, and because I've taught college, worked on college campuses, and a lot of the things, you hear a lot of people preparing young people for college, but you can prepare a lot of the things that are expected in college is really having time management, self-direction, being able to critically think, and those are things that I'm able to allow for her to do with me. We have a syllabus oftentimes. She's very savvy with digital media. Of course she doesn't even hear us now. But it's not school. I'm not reproducing a classroom setting. So
one thing that I have a book here. This is your book.
These are two books that I edited. So I told you earlier about Liberated Muse and the digital community that I started online. And so not only the Capital Hip Hop Soul Fest, we also published 2 anthologies.
Okay.
And the first one came out in 2009, and the second one came out 2 years ago. And a third one will most likely be released next spring.
Okay.
And so, yeah.
So let's get into it.
Okay.
Go ahead and show me what you're working with.
Okay. Well, one of the poems that is featured in Liberated Muse Volume 1, How I Freed My Soul, is a poem that I actually wrote several years before the book came out, and it's called We Women. A lot of my work speaks to my experience as being a woman and being a woman of color as well, but this is called We Women. We women, struggling to shrink our birth into sizes of 3 and 4 until the outside shape of our blossoming bodies become to be no more. We women of stature and majestic size seek acceptance in our society's stiff eyes, and in anorexic spoutings, magazines clamor day to day to conform our image of self and spirituality into a slimmer and more concise way. See, we are to believe that as our glorious bodies shrink, our self-esteem will gradually grow. But is this new psychology that is being fostered one that only magazine editors and addict sex know? Will our hearts and intelligence factors suddenly increase? And will we finally, as women, be respected as equals, rightly at least? Or with shameless swallows of Xanadrin cocktails and excessive calorie-counting behavior, will we determine that We are a motley assortment of blinded women who inevitably need a male savior. Because, regardless of our size, 5'9" with heels or petite, barely 5 feet tall, we are not truly recognized for the greatness we embody as women at all. Downsized to visual trophies, we forget Nefertiti, Cleopatra, and Zinga and Ida B. We scoff at Fannie Lou and Mary McLeod because Beyonce is all we see. Our minds are beginning to shrink to match our diminishing space and size until we women flourish no more, left on to exist with downcast eyes. And we women take over with jubilant stares and of course a pair of slimmer thighs. What our destiny shall be a surprise. What our destiny shall be a surprise. We women.
I like that.
Thank you. And you can't, because I read it, it's we, W-E.
Why, I mean, other than being a woman, why did you choose that path of poetry to deal with women's issues?
Well, I think I have a lot of passion just in thought. I'm a very introverted person that has been trained to be intentionally social, if that makes any sense. So I'm a good actress as well. So people think I'm more extroverted than I really am.
Intentionally social.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Well, I had to pay my way through college, so I had like 12 jobs. They were like saying, "Hey, mom," to me. I was doing everything, and most of those jobs were things that people really didn't gravitate to because they required interacting with folks. And like I said, I'm a good actress, so I can do that, and I can teach. And but a lot of the things that I reflect on and I feel, I can't always articulate them in the circles or the work that I do because I have to be responsible or I have to set an example. And so poetry really allows me to express my passion uncensored and in a way, my poetry is always going to be saying something, but it allows that.
Allows you to say
that anger to come out, and all of it, the anger, the love.
Because when you want to tell somebody to go someplace, then you really can't.
Right.
Because it's not going to happen. I wanted to ask you a question, and before I do, with me on this edition of Spoken Word at Joe's Place is Khadijah Ali-Coleman, and I want to ask you. You said something earlier about the arts community and the way you take care of business a certain way. And it just came to my mind to ask you, I don't want to make the arts community sound real snooty, but isn't that show business as well? Is not the arts community part of the show business community?
Yeah, on the local level, yeah.
Because all of it is art. Mm-hmm. So is there a separation between literary and poetry people or actors and stuff like that?
I would definitely say they are cliques. Okay. I would definitely say they're cliques. I'm not so sure that it's based on discipline as it is just really people who came up together, who went to school together, who maybe spit together, like if they're MCs or who were poets together. I don't know, but I think I have a clique. Like the people I've worked with Liberated Muse.
Back in the day.
Okay.
Back in the day. Theater people used to think that movie people were not actors, mm-hmm. and vice versa. But now you have that interchange. You have that interchange where theater people become movie actors, and they intertwine. Mm-hmm. Some theater people don't even venture into acting, mm-hmm. period, because that's what their peers. That's what they want to do.
Well, it's funny that you start with theater because within the theater community here in DC, oh my goodness, it's so polarizing. And there definitely is what I do, I guess consider community theater, because I'm self-producing as opposed to going through a theater house, which I really have a problem with because I think it takes out the ownership from the artists when they produce their own pieces, and it really creates this belief that there's a need for an arts manager, which I don't believe. I don't believe that there has to be a middleman. I think if artists knew or skilled themselves on the business side and became self-producing artists, mm-hmm. just imagine the economy that would change in our area.
You got to do like Prince. But if you want to be like Prince, you gotta have money as well. So.
Yeah.
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 But really, that's a very good topic for another show.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna get in another poem before we go to break.
Okay. This poem is called "The Foolish Ass Truth."
Okay.
We have multiplied emissions until the truth can only float, bobbing helplessly away, away, away from us, helplessly trying to swim against the tide of ironic change and hope. The foolish ass truth still tries to float. And we stand on the sidelines watching its head dip and bob. We do nothing, either unable or unwilling. It's not really our job. Won't put down our iPhones, take off our Jordans, turn off our Verizon and Comcast internet. We fasten on our cute titles of middle and upper class, hold church on our flat screen TV sets. Our moral duty, so it seems, ain't to say the truth, find the truth, open our ears and use our minds. Forget about letting truth in, trying to learn the grand design. Instead, we languish on the sidelines, our safe havens within safe communities that bleed black repeatedly. We forget. Our silence and ignorance, our chase offering to repent, so that we can ignore the flapping arms of truth in our face, reminding us relentlessly that it is us that must be erased. Not just the skin, but within, the reminder that we are the outlier, the exception to the rule that rules. We are not free. The truth knows. So who's really the fool?
The question is, why are people so hesitant to step out? Those are not successful people either. People who are hesitant to step out of their little box, their little neat boxes, and not venture out into things they have no idea about, or they might have heard things. They tend to feel safe within their comfort zone.
Shame is a powerful thing.
Is that why some folks that are like that are not successful, and they don't understand why things don't go their way?
Well, it really depends on how you define success, because some of the people that I know who would look successful on paper are some of the most shamed and disconnected people that I've ever met. I think really knowing success is really how you define it. And for a lot of people, it's about being able to be free and to be expressive. And that comes with risk.
Okay.
You know?
Would a better word be accomplished?
Mm.
That might be it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I just wanted to ask. I really did. I just wanted to ask. Well, with me on this edition of Spoken Word with Joe's Quiz is Khadijah Ali-Coleman. Khadijah Ali-Coleman, who gave up the life for a minute, and sometimes you got to pursue other things, and I'm pretty sure that the spirits that be pushed you in a different direction, so you can appreciate what you were doing to come back to poetry. For everybody to see. It's like standing. I'm sorry, babe. It's like standing in front of a bunch of people with your rose.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is.
You are exposed.
You're naked. You're right.
And I don't care, because I am no slave to fashion. I really don't care what you think about me. You know it. Please read something.
So can I just preface it a little? When I came back from Baltimore and I had Liberated Muse, I had also joined a theater project called the Sake Project. And it was, the Sake Project was a artist collective, and we were inspired by the woman known as Sake Bartman, who some people may know as the famous Hottentot. And she was a South African woman who was taken to England. Yeah, but she had been promised that she was going to be freed and or be famous, and no one really knows the full extent of what was told to her, but she was brought to England and caged.
And put in
the freak show.
And put in the coma.
Mm-hmm. And so we would do theatrical pieces, spoken word pieces.
Hold on, before we do that, let's say why. I alluded to it. But let's say why she was. She was actually put in that cage because her
butt.
I guess butt is a good word.
Right, her butt was really big.
Was enormous.
Right, what we now see on Beyonce, what we see on Who else?
Some women are
everyone.
Injected with it.
Oh yeah, what Nicki Minaj attempted to try that. Yeah. So this piece is called Queen Ghetto Booty. They speak of her large buttocks and hips as if that was a then, old ago as hieroglyphics, as alien as an ET found in a young boy's backyard, a monstrosity constructed from corrupted DNA, all in disgust in the way that they say, look at that. But her butt's just fat. Ghetto booty, but dunk, man, that sister just got massive junk in the trunk. And what a shame she became, and she was just the first to be a sister in the white girl's world, lady with the ghetto booty. Her seriousness cannot be reenacted. Her loneliness only created from our fitness and fear. But her mere existence strengthens our resistance, and regardless of distance, she will always live here. They speak of her large buttocks and hips as if she was like the centerfold in their conflicted dreams. Maybe if they could pretend, they would not offend what they married and called pristine. But she has multiplied, and her legacy is far more than hand-job imagery. She is our mother to the movement, our lady, Queen Ghetto Booty.
So you're you know what, I love the fact that you speak of women's issues and talk about women, talk about yourself, because it's important that we get away from this man's world thing, because unfortunately, if we did not come through that canal, we wouldn't, we wouldn't be here to be ignorant and try to erase all of the wonderful things that women have achieved, like voting. I wish men sometimes, especially the ones, my favorite ones, my representatives up on Capitol Hill, I wish they would remember who they came from. Not what caused them to be here, but who they came from. You know what I'm saying? They all had mothers, maybe some of them might be aliens, but they all had mothers. And for them to treat women, their wives, their daughters, their mothers, like they do, I don't know where their pattern of thinking comes from.
It's that disconnect, though, we were talking about before. I think a lot of people who go into public office are very disconnected themselves. It's really this search for this success that we're talking about. But what is it if you don't know who you are? Like, you cannot define success if you don't know who you are. So if you continue to look at what people have put down on paper and that's what you follow, then you will continually look outside of yourself for everything. And I don't think that they have a sense of self, because when you have a sense of self, you are in tune with those around you, whatever gender they are.
First of all, I'd like to figure out how you can go on Capitol Hill and take rights away from women and don't understand that you're taking these rights away from your wife, you're taking these rights away from your daughter, your aunties, your nieces. All of these women are involved, and that's just in your family. But you're talking about billions of women that this will affect. How do you go to work every day knowing that this is what you're striving for? How do you go home and face your wife? And the sad part about it is she's supporting you.
Well, that be because you first of all, you use religion first of all as a foundation of what you're speaking, but many of the politicians, and I don't want to get hate mail, but
let's just say Republicans.
Okay,
I don't care about it.
But
I
don't want to get hate mail brought to you. But the reality is
that I'm closer to Jesus than you think. I really don't care.
Well, I think that you when you talk about doing things to disrupt the power of women, what you were trying to do is keep in existence a subservient class of people. And that has been what's been consistent. What we've seen has been consistent is that all of the things, and I don't understand people tearing off their head, they don't understand Republican. It is a very obvious, everything that our corporations are humans now. They're considered people.
That's what Mitt Romney said.
Exactly, but that's law. The Supreme Court has allowed that to be, that corporations are now humans. And so that is what runs our government. And so if women, who are the predominant gender in this country, if we do not have equity when it comes to reproductive health, then we are subservient. We are, unless we marry rich, unless we make decisions not to have children, then we are at having children is a vulnerability.
Mm-hmm. And I've always wanted to say this on the radio, and I hope y'all listen, women especially. Okay, you want to take away my rights? Cut it off. I'm not talking about the man member. I'm talking about cut off the cookie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, cut off the cookie. Let's see how long you can go with that in mind.
I agree.
Cut it off. And let's see if the laws get changed. So there'll be some grumpy men going around.
They did that in the African country. I forget which country it was. I don't think it was Nigeria. But there's a female activist in the country in Africa, and I really wish I remember her name, but that was what she was saying, and some women actually followed suit, and they were angry at her, but it was about decisions to go to war, decisions to be,
right.
So you're right. Can I read this poem? It's in line with what you're talking about. It's called Plentiful Woman, and when you would think that we had coordinated this. Okay. Plentiful Woman. I don't want to trap you in the poetry that brings my hair and wraps my thighs. I don't want to mesmerize you with the look and charm or the slow lash blink of my eyes. My beauty may harness your thoughts and cause skirmish in your dreams, but I never asked to be placed upon pedestals among the stars and moonbeams. Erase the doubt that builds sometimes and clouds your image of what you see, confusing the delicacy that kicks my bones with lack of strength and veracity. I've climbed mountains of mythical proportions, slayed dragons that have scorched many men. I have fallen and been pushed down many times, but still I've gotten up again and again. In my wisdom, I seek balance, and in silence, I commune with the sun. There is nothing weak or less that composes my being. It is for me in which you have come.
Yeah. I just want to say this. Because that's the only way to get there. Has the little one, have you written a poem about her?
I have, and I am amazed that I didn't say it. I actually wrote a poem about her. I've written many poems about her, but I wrote a poem about her before she even came to this earth.
And she's gonna cause mom to write some bad poems too.
Oh, is that when she becomes a teenager?
Oh yeah.
You have poems about your children?
I don't have no poems. I have in fact, when she was little, I wrote her a song. And my son, I wrote a poem about him after he passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry. I had him for 30 years. With all the teaching, do you have workshops? You said you teach acting and stuff like that.
No, I was teaching communication studies and theater at Nova, Northern Virginia Community College very recently, and PG. But right now, I'm a faculty advisor for the literary magazine, student-run literary magazine at Prince George's Community College. And I'm growing Liberated Muse.
Okay, now you got to take care of my little cousin.
Where, PG?
Yes, I'm not going to tell you her name on the air.
Okay.
But you have to take care of my little cousin.
Well, tell her to come find me and Reflection.
She's a journalism student.
Oh, okay. Oh, yes. Well, we need her. I should know her because we shared office with the Owl newspaper there. So yeah.
I want to ask you this question since I have you. Do you think it would be advantageous to someone who wants to do performance poetry, spoken word, to take acting lessons?
I'm always asked this question because I think acting classes really help with discipline, and they give you language. You start to understand what technique you're doing when you do certain things. That's what classes and majors are about. That they give you the language. They connect you to the theories and the different practices that actors do. So you're not just emoting in a certain way and don't know what the heck you're doing. You know that this is the Meisner technique or something like that. But I think ultimately you have to have something really inside of you where you're committed to it. And that's what I tell people all the time. What the audience responds to is how committed you are to the character that you are portraying. And if you're not committed to it, if you don't buy it, why on earth do you think somebody wants to sit there and watch you waste their time? I mean, because that's what acting is about. It's about committing to the point that the audience cannot tell the difference that between you and the character, you are the character.
But sometimes after you see certain actors all the time, you say, okay, this is just that person in that movie.
That's commitment.
Right.
That's committing to your character. And the same is true for music. I mean, that theory that I'm sharing is the same thing with when you're performing music. Is you are committed to what you're singing about, that you're feeling it, and when that leaves you, the audience can tell it's something that's off. But you really have to be. And I think the tendency today, because digital media is so prevalent, it's so instant. You have reality shows. You have this culture where everything is, look at me now, look at me, and it's no type of but it's no type of focus on what is it that we're looking at. It's no substance to what it is that we're looking at. And so, yeah, people want to be famous, but that whole commitment to a certain gift or a certain skill is that little piece that's missing. And that is what really separates, I think, entertainment from creativity.
All right, one more point.
Okay.
You got time for one more. Okay. And not a long one.
Okay. Well, I think I would end on this. The best gift we'll know of.
Okay.
Possibly the most impressive thing about us is that we have this uncaring knack to trust, and before we know it, that trust turns to love. This is the best gift that we will know of. Infinitely better than alone is to have love in our heart and our home, have a spirit that is grounded, never roam, be gracious and grateful for all the love. This is the best gift that we will know of. This is the best gift that we will ever bring, and time will see that most all things will fade. Won't be about how much and when we get paid. Won't be a word about our clothes, our car, our hair. Will only matter how much we love and how we care. Possibly the most impressive thing about us is that we have this uncanny knack to trust, and before we know it, that trust turns to love. This is the best gift that we will know of.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. And you're such a busy woman. I hate to ask you. Would you like to share an email address or something that people can get in touch with?
I actually have a website. Khadijah Online. That's KHADIJAH online.com. Folks can also reach me at liberatedmuse.com. Learn more about my arts collective. I'm on Twitter and on Facebook, and Instagram. So that's Khadijah Online and Liberated Muse, and that's LIBERATEDMUSE, Liberated Muse. And so I just hope folks reach out. If you hear the show, let me know that you heard the show, and I'd love to give you a shout out on Twitter or Facebook.
That's beautiful. Khadijah Ali-Coleman, it's been a pleasure. Looking forward to you being one of the poets, returning poets.
Oh, thank you.
Since I told, I got a secret for you. I told Kimberly, I said, we have our traditional poets that have stuck with us throughout the years. I said, let's find some new ones and mix them in. And I'm very grateful that you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Right. I hope I didn't ask you to critique of the show, but I guess it was a good one.
Yeah, I'm here, right, and I brought myself. But I'm going to be at the Artscape Festival this summer in Baltimore, so I just wanted to put that out in case people wanted to see me, and that's more of that is on my website.